finally, before we close for today, I'm pleased to welcome Gareth Evans from the Financial Inclusion Centre, who's doing some research on financing home improvement in the private sector, in private sector housing, kind of including some cold homes issues as well. So I'll hand over to Gareth and let him tell you all about the research that they're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul, and good afternoon, everybody. So thank you for inviting me along this afternoon. I'm not going to spend too long talking about the research that we're doing, but hopefully it resonates with what we've been talking about this afternoon and really is a natural progression. The finance we're looking at the moment around local authority provision of both grant and loan finance to fund home improvements within the private housing. So just a very quick one about ourselves. So the Financial Inclusion Centre, we've been operating for the last 15 years. We're an independent, not-for-profit research and consultancy organisation, and we do a variety of research evaluation work all around this topic of financial exclusion, credit, savings, debt, financial services, and the interaction with poverty. And so we work with a range of government, council, social housing, and financial service providers on a range of different areas. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of an introduction to ourselves. So the two bits of research that we are currently doing, they're separate pieces of research, but very much interlinked. Both pieces of work are funded by the Local Government Association's Housing Advisors Programme, the HAP programme, and it's all about this home improvement financing. So the first piece of work that we are doing at the moment is commissioned by Derby City Council and Nottingham City Council, and it's looking at the provision of a loan scheme to fund home improvements. So it's looking at the sort of what is out there, what are other local authorities doing, and developing a sort of options appraisal and designing of a potential scheme that could cover both the two council areas, but also the wider two counties as well. That's currently underway. And the second element is is commissioned again by the Stoke-on-Trent City Council and is an evaluation and wider consultancy around local authority delivery of grants and loan finance within the private sector housing again. What we're hoping that this will do is both research will explore the sort of various grants and non-repayable funds and loan funds, so the repayable products available to support homeowners and landlords to fund a variety of repairs, maintenance, improvements to their private sector properties. And so the four key areas that we're looking at through this work are funding non-decent home upgrades and changes, bringing empty properties back into use. A lot of the discussion we've talked about today around energy efficiency retrofit and energy generation, and finally, the work that a lot you will be through foundations will be aware of around the disability adaptation and access work. So it's all those four areas and looking at the financing of that, and particularly how grants and loans interact and what the options are, particularly around the lending side of things to homeowners. So what we hope both projects will, there's a requirement for us to share the findings and the research with the local government sector. So hopefully it's a real opportunity to understand what local authorities are doing around that, and what loan finance and what grant finance is being implemented. Hopefully it's going to bring together all that research, all those case studies, all that learning, all that good practice that's out there, and all the resources that are available into one place. And so we'll hopefully have sort of a information hub available on this. And then the sort of third area that we think there's a great opportunity is to sort of greater collaboration between local authorities around the design and development of new solutions. So hopefully this resonates with with everybody on the session today. So what we are currently undertaking is a wide consultation with local authorities, the financial institutions themselves, so a range of building societies, banks, things like credit unions and specialist lenders that are delivering and working with councils such as that Lendology and Parity Trust, those type of organisations, and finally sort of linking in with other stakeholders. I mean, for example, foundations and other organisations that have got an interest in this field. But what I really want to highlight today, and really I would love to encourage as many of the representatives from local authorities to complete a survey that we're undertaking currently with as many councils as possible, looking at the challenges that you're facing, how the priorities you place upon those four areas, what you're delivering in terms of grants and loans in terms of this, and how that's been delivered. So it's really a real snapshot of what's been delivered in the sector. Paul's really helpfully put the link in the chat. So please, if you've got a specialism in one of those areas, just complete that area of the report, and please feel free to share it with other colleagues within your council who have, I mean, undertake the other areas that you maybe not have knowledge about. But it's really important that we've got that as many local authorities in that survey as possible. It shouldn't take more than 5-10 minutes to complete your sections. So, and it'll also be in the newsletter that's going out or gone out through the foundations as well. So it'd be great if you could survey. But what we thought, and I was really impressed by how jazzy the polls and some of the other elements of this webinar have been. So, Paul, what we thought would be great to just finally have a bit more interaction from everybody to see some of the experiences in each of your local authorities and across the sector, is look at doing 4 polls quickly just on 4 different questions. So the first one we wanted to look at is how important is improving the quality and standard of private sector housing to your council? So hopefully there will be a poll that Paul will instigate.
All the questions come up together, actually, Gareth. So do you want to outline
Excellent.
4, and then
So,
I'll launch the poll?
Perfect. So the second question that we're going to look at is does your council have a formal plan or policy in place for private sector home improvement? So that might be your housing renewal assistance policy. The third and the fourth questions are going to be looking at does your local authority make grants around those 4 different areas? And then the fourth one is going to be looking at does your local authority provide loan funding available for those 4 different so with that, those last 2 questions, you can just tick it's a multiple selection that you can tick the areas that you do have a loan or a grant scheme in place. So hopefully that'll give us a little bit of a flavour of the. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. So if you can complete those 4 different questions, just multiple choice. As I say, the first 2 are single choice, and those last 2 are just tick the ones that you do have a grant scheme or a loan scheme for. Hopefully this insights that we're going to glean from the survey across all local authorities will really give us a flavour for what councils are delivering, how important it is, the challenges being faced, and really highlight some of the good practice is happening out there already in terms of financing type of home improvement work.
Right, we're having a few few responses are coming in now, Gareth. So what the kind of timescale of this work when you're hoping to have some kind of findings to share?
We've already through particularly the Derby and the Nottingham piece of work research, and we've already sort of undertaken a few of the outputs for that. So we've looking at sort of what research is already out there for that covers local authority work in this field, and also we've brought together some case studies and highlighting good practice we've already found about lenders and other financial institutions that are working in this area. So we're hoping over the next few weeks we'll be able to start sharing some of those initial documents. But the end for the two projects is early in 2024. It's not long, but we're going to start being able to share the documents. So again, if local authorities participate in the research and the survey that we just talked about, it'll enable us to share and share that sort of initial work that we and outputs and documents become available.
And do you think there will be other sources of funding that kind of potentially available? Have kind of any, I suppose, more commercial lenders shown an interest as yet, or is that
Well, there's
kind of still
definitely
to be
some
established?
examples that we've found of, particularly in the building society sort of area of banking. A lot of work is already being undertaken, and it's quite new. So a lot of them are in pilot or sort of testing phase. So we're going to be highlighting some of those things that are already happening. But I guess what we really want to uncover is what councils can proactively do to ensure provision around this, and particularly in the lending space. And there's examples of councils where they've come together to combine resources and either fund loan pots through internally delivered schemes or commission external providers, external lenders. I mean, a couple like Lendology and Parity, but there are other examples. And then the sort of area is around whether they can facilitate something around maybe with their local credit union to be able to sort of deliver these home improvement loan products that meet this. I mean, that can meet the needs of homeowners and other people within the private sector housing.
Great, great. Well, I think the answers have I think pretty much in. So let's end the poll and see what people have said.
That's really interesting about how the importance of this area within councils, because there's four very distinct areas, and I guess they're all potentially competing with all the other priorities within the council. So it looks like it. I mean, there's extremely and very important coming out quite strongly. So that's really, really interesting. And then if we could, so we move down. So again, we've got quite a large proportion that do have some kind of formal plan or policy in place around private sector improved home improvement. But I mean, a proportion about 11% either don't, or it's currently in development. So that's an finding that's going to come out. And if you look at the sort of grant side of things, we've got, I mean, disability adaptation, which I mean through DFGs is requirement, so that's going to be strong out. But there are other grants looking at delivered through there. But I think in terms of the lending side of things, interesting that about 50% of those on the webinar today are saying that they've got some kind of provision that's facilitated through the council around loan provision for all of those things. 39 up to 50%. So that's going to, gives an indication that, this is an area where there's certain local authorities that are doing lots around home financing, but others that aren't. So hopefully something like this research where we can bring together all the information into one place, help local authorities with a sort of hub of resources is going to be useful going forward. So My final points, that's been really helpful. Thank you, everybody. But a link to that survey, again, if you are able to complete it, that will really help us build that picture, that insight into what's in the local government sector around this topic. My contact details are on the screen now. But thank you, Paul and Foundations for allowing us to sort of share what we're doing on this research and hopefully encourage everybody to participate. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Gareth, and hopefully be able to come back and share the results with us when you're done.
100%, that'd be really helpful. Thank you, Paul, for the invite.
Great. Thanks, Gareth. So the link to the survey is in the chat. So if you've got 5 or 10 minutes to complete that, that'd be very much appreciated.